Today, we're ranking the most dangerous raids in solo leveling. And trust me, some of these would make even S-rank hunters think twice. This is a Meverse Anime. Watch this video to the end and hit that subscribe button now. We begin with number 10, D-Rank Dungeon Raid. Okay, let's start with something light. Jin-Woo's very first dungeon. A D-Rank raid sounds easy, right? Nope, because inside was a hidden double dungeon, aka Welcome to Hell. The statues weren't just for decoration, they were gods of pain and suffering. This was the first time Jin-Woo realized that in this world, even easy dungeons can turn deadly in an instant. 9. Instant Dungeon Raid. You know what's worse than a regular dungeon? One that appears out of nowhere and traps you inside. Jin-Woo's first instant dungeon was like throwing a beginner into Dark Souls on max difficulty. With no way out except for victory or death, this was his first real taste of going solo. And let's just say, he barely made it out alive. 8. Dungeon and Lizards Raid. Imagine stepping into a dungeon and getting swarmed by lizardmen who see you as their next meal. That's exactly what happened here. The kicker? They were way stronger than expected, and the hunters who entered had no idea what they were in for. If Jin-Woo hadn't been there, this would have been a massacre. 7. Dungeon and Prisoners Raid. Dungeons are bad enough, but imagine being locked inside with convicted criminals. That's what happened in this raid. The idea was to use prisoners as disposable fighters, but of course, things went south fast. When the boss monster showed up, it turned into a bloodbath. Turns out, trusting criminals in a life-or-death battle wasn't the smartest plan. Who knew? 6. Job Change Raid. Jin-Woo's job change quest was basically fight or die on nightmare mode. He had to face wave after wave of monsters, including a giant knight who could probably take down half the world's hunters. Oh, and there was no escape. Either you complete the quest, or the dungeon becomes your tomb. This was the turning point where Jin-Woo stopped being just another hunter and started becoming a gonster himself. 5. Red Gate Raid. Getting trapped inside a red gate is like being thrown into the Hunger Games, except there's no food, no supplies, and everything around you wants to eat you alive. Oh, and you can't leave until the dungeon is cleared. Jin-Woo wasn't just fighting monsters, he was surviving in extreme conditions. This was one of those moments where you realize, yeah, this guy is built different. Act 4, Demon Castle Raid. A dungeon with 100 floors of demons, each stronger than the last? Sounds like a fun weekend trip, but in reality, this was brutal. Jin-Woo had to fight some of the strongest demons in existence, including Baron, the king of demons himself. Oh, and he had a time limit. This wasn't just a test of strength, it was a war. 3. Hunters Guild Gate Raid. You'd think one of the strongest guilds would have everything under control, right? Nope. The monsters in this dungeon were so powerful that even elite S-rank hunters were dropping like flies. The worst part? The guild underestimated the danger, and by the time they realized the mistake, it was already too late. 2. Return to Demon Castle Raid. If the first trip to Demon Castle was bad, the return was a nightmare. This time, Jin-Woo wasn't just fighting demons, he was fighting the archdemon himself. This raid was the definition of one wrong move and you're dead, and even with all of Jin-Woo's power, it pushed him to his limits. 1. Jeju Island Raid. And finally, the Jeju Island Raid, aka the worst nightmare in solo leveling history. This wasn't just a raid, it was a war. Thousands of hunters, countless casualties. And at the center of it all, the Ant King, a monster so powerful it made S-rank hunters look like ants themselves. This raid nearly wiped out humanity's strongest fighters, and if Jin-Woo hadn't stepped in, it would have been game over. Final thoughts. So there you have it, the most dangerous raids in solo leveling. Some were terrifying, some were straight up impossible, and some, well, they proved why Jin-Woo is the strongest hunter of them all. Which of these raids do you think was the most brutal? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe for more solo leveling content.